every trumpet player has a warm up that they use.
Mhm.
Um, but I think a lot of times people only focus on the mechanical side of the warm up, so they have their physical rituals to go through. But I think when, especially when you're in the live performance thing, you know, when you're in a venue, when you're especially at a gig like you have right now with BS&T and you know some of the other stuff that you've done that are you know fairly high profile gigs. I think that there also has to be a level of mental preparation that you go through. So, do you have like kind of a go to process that you apply to get yourself mentally and emotionally ready to hit the stage, not just you know getting your chops going?
I mean, this is a really good question because the majority of the time we just do physical warm-ups. We don't do any mental warm-ups or creative warm-ups. How many times have we got to, say, a big band gig and we've warmed up, we've warmed our chops up, we've warmed, everything's feeling good, and then we've got 16 bars to play, and it's like go, and then boom, it's over. And so wait a second, I haven't. You don't even give yourself the opportunity to warm up the creative side of your playing or warm up something. So this is another thing I talk about with my students when we do I have a set like kind of warm ups that I do just to help myself get from A to B as quickly as possible, so I'm ready to play. But that also entails playing a tune and also entails playing, like improvising something, whether it's just something small, a blues, but anything just to be creative, just to suddenly, brush out those cobwebs, and think, get to playing something creative on the horn as quickly as possible, so that when I do have to suddenly go on stage now and play, I'm not stuck for ideas. I'm not just suddenly like I'm warm here, but I'm not warm here. It's like you have to be both, and it's something that we don't. Majority of the time, I never used to think about that until I got to that moment of where, oh, I just had a 16 bar solo in the big band. What did I play? I don't even remember what I played, and what was it influenced by, or what? I don't know. I wasn't even thinking about it. It went by so quick. So that, I think it's important to not only warm up this, but also think about and maybe play something creative every day as well as a warm up too, to warm up your creativity and get something flowing, to help when you do have to just hit it.
Yeah,
So,
now that's solid advice, man. See, that's why I love doing this, man. You get all kinds of great ideas from people. So, and like you say, I think it's one of those things that people don't think about
no.
that often. You know,
I didn't for the longest, but then until suddenly one day I was like, wait a second, spent all this time warming myself up physically, and I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to say something on the trumpet. I wasn't ready to be creative. I hadn't even thought about being creative until suddenly it was upon me, and it's like, now just play. This is my moment to play. I said, wait a second, my mind is thinking about this. I was worried about this. I couldn't get a cab to the gig or something. Something is still bothering me that I hadn't let go of before I started playing music. And a lot of the times it's just letting go and just being in the moment,
yeah,
and really like being in the moment, and I like to try somehow to, whatever's happened to me that day, whatever I've been going through that day before I go on stage, have that be a part of my solo that night, be influenced by something, because every day is different. I mean, day is gone like that, but to have each night's performance be influenced by what you went through that day or what you went through that week, have it have some meaning. I think that's also another thing that's important, to kind of let go of things, let
mhm,
things out, use that moment to let things out, and to let go of things. So
yeah, that's. I think that's key because, um, you know, with improvising being an expression of your emotions and your intentions and things like that. Um, you know, you can play the technically greatest solo in the world, but if you really aren't saying anything, you know, if there's no emotion to it, there's no intention behind it, then it's you know, it's I think it's so important to have an idea of what you're trying to say, not just play licks.
Exactly. To me, my favorite players, my favorite trumpet players, are always guys that play from the heart. You can tell, and what they're playing, it connects to me, and it's like I can feel it. I can feel what they're playing. They still have technical ability. Some of them are still technical geniuses, but their playing comes from this. And it's when I think, to me, my favorite players are guys that mix this with a bit of this too. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's like if all of those come together, that pathway of like coming from the heart, yeah, with some harmonic knowledge, playing from the heart, harmonic knowledge with good sharps and range. That's my favorite
Yeah.
style of musician. Someone who can mix that all together.
Yeah.
I tend to gravitate towards those players the most.